Good morning.
Still out.
Make sure they can hear us.
Steve, can you give us a thumbs up if you can hear us? Can everybody hear us?
Awesome. All right.
Yep. I can hear you.
All right. John Strand, can you hear us?
Ken, good morning.
Good morning. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do. Yep.
Morning, Terry Stroh.
Tammy, are you on? Oh, Jim Capitan's on, right? Jim, are you on?
Yes, I
Okay.
am.
All right. We've got a quorum, that's all right. Number two, approve the airport vouchers totaling $809,940.13. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the vouchers.
We have a motion. Can we get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any conversation?
Nope.
None? Roll call vote. Lind.
Aye.
Capitan.
Aye.
Lynn. Tammy, are you on? Engen. Aye. Motion approved. Number three, approve the individual vouchers as follows. Mead and Hunt, $1,411. Peterson Mechanical, $96,840. Bipolar Aviation, $1,875. Sixel, $1,922. Terracon, $14,720. CMTA, which is formerly Overnall, $625. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the individual vouchers.
Motion and second. Any conversation? None?
Nope.
Roll call. Lind.
Aye.
Capitan.
Aye.
Tammy? No Tammy yet? She's supposed to be on. All right, Engen. Aye. Number four, receive update from Terry Stroh, architect, regarding the Exit Plaza project. Terry, can you hear us? He's on. Terry? Terry Stroh, he is off mute.
Can you hear me?
Terry?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes?
Yes, go ahead, Terry.
Okay, great. Every system seems to pick a different microphone, so. So we are set to have the advertisement in the paper for the Exit Plaza. It'll be going through February 9th. It'll be on February 9th, February 16th, February 23rd. And the bid date is March 8th. We are just getting, we're kind of been noodling around with the checkpoint area. We had a little issue with regards to, there's a major ductwork piece that goes through there that's about 30 inches deep. And so I sent that information back to the TSA people and they asked a couple questions with regards to some things and then said that they would get back to us with a modified plan. They have not gotten back to us yet. We're trying to determine also the value of this and if we could just invite some contractors, 4 contractors instead of putting it out to the world. It's a little messy. Everything has to be done at night. I've already had a couple of contractors say they wouldn't be interested, partly because people are so busy right now. So there's kind of a couple, 3 components to that we're working on. And right now, kind of just we're doing pretty much all of the starting all the drawings for it and just waiting to see what the TSA comes back with in terms of that one would be the west security line. Any questions?
None here.
Nope. None
Thank
from
you.
me.
All right,
Number 6.
In the X-Link 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Oh, no, I'm sorry,
Six,
that was
yeah.
there. So you did the X-Link Plaza and the Tech. Yep.
6.
See, Steve. Steve, are you on CMT? Okay, well, he said he would be here. Oh, he had to take kids to daycare, so about 8:15 he'll show up, so.
Let's just hold off on number 6 and
Yep.
move to number 7.
Yep. So Jeff, you're up. Come on up over here and stand in the spotlight.
I don't have too much today. Just a quick update here. So there's 3 open grants that the airport authority has for construction projects on the airfield. It's 50, 51, and 50 and 51 are for the hardway up in the north end. Those closeouts have been submitted to the FAA for approval. So all the numbers are finalized, subject to FAA review and approval. So the $1 million question is when they'll get to it. Something that can take months and months and months. So, which is a big deal for the airport authority because there's still 2.5% retained on the grant. So that can't be brought until they have it. Grant 52 is for the SRE building, and I basically have that one completed. I would say it's 95, 99% done. However, I can't complete it until all the punch list work and everything is finalized with all the, well, mining key counts, and I think everything's finished with the 11. So once that's done, I can finalize everything, get that submitted. It's important, I guess, also because now that all these closeouts are done, I know what the final numbers are. Now I can start assembling the development addendum. There's development addendum. So there was, and I can provide a summary at the next meeting, but there's an unfunded balance for grant 51, for example. I don't have the exact dollar amount off the top of my head, but it's millions of dollars. That unfunded balance can go into a carriage development addendum. Same thing with the unfunded balance for the SRE. So there's roughly, Johnny said there's roughly $15.5 million in that CARES grant yet. We just want to make sure that we burn through all that money and use it up. So, because there's definitely a need. So, any questions on that? Okay. The economy lots, we have those plans completed, and that'll advertise next week. So at a mid-March bid opening for that. That's the lot that's south of the air traffic control tower. It's roughly 200 to 225 additional stalls, along with a secondary airfield access road. Access road on the immediately on the side of the building here. This guy will go away, and it'll be moved down to here. So it's the parking lot plus that new access road and lighting gate. The boarding bridge, and Sean, I haven't talked to you about this, but I spent a good part of the day yesterday talking with a contractor that has access to boarding bridges. They do installations. They have access to boarding bridges across the country. One of the big takes that I got from yesterday is there is no inventory out there for used bridges that they recommend the airport authority to refurbish at this point in time. So obviously that, you know, if the airport authority needs to go with a new bridge, that can be done, but this individual said, you know, if that's the case, it's not until a 2023 construction. So just because of, you know, everything the world has experienced a few times and everything, so I'll work with Sean to find the best path forward.
I want to talk a little bit about the terminal area study.
Oh, yes, terminal area studies, how could I forget? Continue to work on that. Where we're sitting at right now is we completed the forecasting chapter, so it's just the estimating the number of planes over the year in the near term justifies the size of the terminal, space issues, as well as the number of gates. And that forecasting chapter needs to be approved by the FAA, before we can really move forward with the project and move forward with it. So I'll get a copy of all the authority.
We had this room full last week of meat and hunt employees, some that hadn't met themselves from all over the country, all involved with different aspects of the terminal area study, from recording in 3D or whatever, every single space in the terminal, mechanical. I think there's a structural gentleman here today, all different facets. But we were going to meet today, but there was enough done yesterday that we didn't. As far as the study itself, just to kind of give you a heads up on that, the planners at Mead and Hunt believe that it's only going to justify enough space for 2 additional gates. So that's kind of where we're at with the demand forecast based on kind of like a 2.1% growth year over year, kind of the trajectory that we're on. But it doesn't account for yet the gate space in the existing terminal at gate 4, trying to expand and get more, gate 1 to get more, or and so forth. Nor does it address the space that we'll need for food and beverage and restrooms and things of that nature. But the data appears that it's only going to be enough for 2 gates. Doesn't mean we can't build more, but we won't get any assistance.
What is the seating capacity of the gates that you're going to build?
That's yet to be determined, so that'll come out in additional chapters.
Chairman, I'd just like to point out and put on the record that, most of the terminals built for considering regional jet capacity, 50-seat gates, 50-seat planes coming in, and that's where our seating areas are kind of set up for when I look around. And there's a couple of them that are bigger, but, Allegiant brings in a 200-seat Airbus, and we need to build for that kind of capacity going forward instead of trying to shove a 200-seat Airbus into 2 gates that seat 50 people. So
when the terminal was built in '86, we had 757 service. There were 727 service with United, 737s. There was a lot of mainlines. The Stargate didn't until about 1998. But what's happened is that we've repurposed space at gate 4 to food and beverage. We wiped out all of that seating at gate 4 to turn into the bar and lounge. We did the same over in the gate 1 area. We took over some of that space as well for, janitorial closets and things of that nature. But you are 100% correct that seating capacity needs to be 200 plus, whatever it is for each gate. I mean,
that is acknowledged in the forecast, Jeff, that's a trend in
in the current environment with people with COVID and so forth, not everybody wants to sit by each other, so the spacing even gets a little bit broader. So how the FAA and the experts will figure that out, I'm not exactly sure. But
I just want to make sure that we're building the correct square footage and allotting for the square footage for social distancing and larger aircraft and additional bathrooms and lactation room, all those things that are now a thing that weren't a thing when we were doing this 40 years ago.
yeah, not that we have to discuss it today, but there's a video that came out. The Great Lakes Chapter AAA had Justin Meyer on from Kansas City, who was in the process of finishing a multi-billion-dollar terminal down there. And part of the discussion is the restrooms are, there's one restroom for everybody in their concourses, and that's the trend. I don't know that we want to do that here, but
well, I would like to say that, when I see new buildings going up and new terminals around the country, there is a lot of individual bathrooms. Instead of having a group bathroom for all males, females, you're seeing individual bathrooms with the door, and it's non-gender, and just you go in and you're the only person in there, and you get privacy and all that thing. And I would really like to see us do something like that. If we're adding and making space, let's repurpose the future and not build for the past. Any heartburn on any of that? Okay, yeah. Or at least family bathrooms. Those are pretty big deal all over the country. So.
I could go for family bathrooms. This is Tammy. And if you take a look at what West Acres has done, when they're down by the Halbertsteds and the Pennies wing, they've got downstairs, they've got different bathrooms, but also I know we have our breastfeeding places, but you know, we might take a look at that and see, and use that as a model. I don't have a problem with that, the family bathrooms.
If we have one now, we need more.
Yeah, if I can interject, this is Terry. Yeah, actually, I sat in on that seminar, that talk too, Sean, and that is actually a trend in the industry, period. I think in a lot of ways, it's maybe a little more just to make things easier. I see, we see that a lot in restaurants, newer restaurants today. So there's some situations there that I would want to talk personally about in terms of our in-person, about how to really arrange them, because we're finding there's some issues with a couple of things. But like, for instance, we're doing Bell's new corporate headquarters, and we're doing the same thing on their floor that has a huge bunch of conference spaces and entertainment spaces, and we have both, we have men's and women's, and then we have a series of anybody can go in them, and that really is a trend today, and for a lot of reasons.
I think the other thing with the family bathroom is my husband changed most of the diapers. And if you're going to allow a family bathroom, not just to be for the female, but for the male, if he's taking the kids out and he wants to change diapers, I think that allows the male and the female and their family generally to use that facility. So I'd support that.
Good. Well, more details will come as this study progresses.
Good discussion.
So Steve is here, CMT. So we skipped over your item. We'll come back to it, Steve. So if you want to come up here and just chat about your, we had an inquiry from Spectrum Aeromed staff some weeks ago and about air quality in their lease space in the East Terminal. So having CMT having just completed this analysis here, and of course Peterson Mechanical is working on that project as we speak. We had Steve and his team go over there and do an assessment. Dan is here, our building operations supervisor, and I guess tell us what you found out.
Sure, yeah, so kind of a lot of the same.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's speak loud so they can hear you on the phone.
So a lot of the same things, you know, that apply to the terminal is what you'll see in the trend in this report that we put through. There are the recommendations from ASHRAE, which is the American Society of Healthcare Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Engineers. Most of the stuff is not new. It's old information that hasn't been that prevalent or kind of at the front of everyone's discussion until COVID-19 started. And now we're starting to look a lot more at pandemics and bringing these recommendations forward. So those include, you know, ventilation rate, how much are we bringing in, and how effective are we bringing that to a level for the occupants to breathe out. So ASHRAE has a standard called 62.1 that lists those ventilation requirements. And in their studies, you know, after, you know, COVID-19 started to take place, they found that those rates of ventilation air, it's per occupant and per square foot, have shown to be effective at diluting and removing those airborne contamination to help kind of limit the spread. So the one recommendation I have on that report is to go through and look at how those 3 rooftop units that serve that space, what's the outside air rate being brought in. That would take a balancing contractor to come and measure that and make sure that that's set for what that recommended rate, that minimum damper position is. And then that damper, whenever the space is occupied, should remain at that minimum position, fan on at all times to circulate and help dilute and remove any of that contamination. The next part is increased air filter efficiency. It has been a kind of a standard in the industry to put a pervade. They're relatively inefficient. They've removed most of what's needed for the HVAC system to function without loading up coolant oils build up inside the unit. So it's kind of a low pressure drop, lower energy use, lower replacement cost. That's been standard. Some areas have pushed up to a higher filtration rate for 11s, but in most commercial buildings, we have not seen an exceeding MERV 8 or MERV 11. The exception is in a hospital, they tend to go significantly higher. The recommendation of this study is we should go as high as we can with air filter efficiencies as possible in these units without negatively affecting performance. So I think comfortably we could at least go to a MERV 11. Should fit into that 1-inch filter rack. If we have a balancing contractor verifying that outside airflow rate, have them verify how much does that airflow drop if we put one efficiency higher level in. So MERV 13 is what really ASHRAE, the gold standard to try and get everyone to a MERV 13 is ideal where they would like to be at. Next option on this one is increase our air change rate. And, you know, and really this should be focused on where do groups of people spend time. You know, if it's an individual in an office space, and an occasional someone else comes in, they can mask up, provide some protection. But if there's people who are gathering for this period of time, say like they have a break room over there or the open office area where people may spend a larger amount of time, you know, maybe without a mask on, policy or just activities like eating in a break room to try and increase that air change rate. So that'd be similar to what Peterson Mechanical is doing out kind of above the security checkpoint out there, is putting in a recirculation unit to help increase the air change rate to filter out some of those particles that are within that air to help hopefully pull as much of that out as possible. So those would be a HEPA filtration to remove a vast majority of them. Another one on here is humidity is a big deal. Ideally, the ideal range to limit bacteria and virus growth is 40 to 60%. Our environment in the wintertime, we cannot sustain 40%. We condensate on windows, causes issues with buildings, you know, when it gets really cold. I know I had missed this in the report, which Dan pointed out that Robert Gibbs had installed a humidifier over there. I don't know what level to control that humidity to. But really, we need to look at that building envelope as a whole, as it is an older building, before we try and maximize that amount of humidity to put in there. We don't want to create a building structural issue down the road because we're condensing on building structure. You know, when it's really cold and start causing corrosion on the building. The last option in here is germicidal irradiation. I know we talked about this with the airport project itself. There's two types. One is UVC. It's a ultraviolet radiation light that will go in the unit. Works really good at keeping cooling coils clean and removing bacteria growth. It's not so great at killing airborne viruses and bacteria because the contact time it flows to the unit really quick. There's not a whole lot of time to remove or destroy that contaminant in there. The other technology is bipolar ionization. You know, like ASHRAE is not fully behind it. It's a newer technology. It's been out a little while. There's some testing on it. You know, some studies have shown that it is effective at making those particles collect into a larger particle that pulls the hydrogen out of them. The particle dies, and some of it settles down. It looks like dust, a harmless matter at that point. Some of it gets caught in filters. Some studies show it's effective. Some people doubt whether it is or not. That's why ASHRAE isn't fully endorsed it. We haven't put the technology in there. That is being installed in the airport now to help really limit as much as we can or control that spread. So that's that last item I put on there. And the end of the report is just an opinion of probable cost as far as what we think it will take. Option one, that ventilation rebalancing, I figure that's about $4,000. That includes the testing and balancing contractor to be there on site for a day, adjusting controls, and then some engineering work as well to calculate what those air change rates, that ventilation rate should be to those associated. Option two, increased filter efficiency. You know, I think that's gonna take a little bit more effort on a balancing contractor and, you know, whoever the service contractor is able to put them in the airflow. Do we think that's acceptable or not? A little bit of work, so that includes some engineering time as well. The HEPA filtration for installing a unit in the break room and installing a unit in the open office area. I have about $22,000 for the unit, the electrical wiring, the ductwork, the engineering for it. Humidification, if we're gonna, I know they have one humidifier there now. I can revise this update, you know, based on what that is, but assuming we needed to add it to all three units, I estimate that would be about $10,000 or $30,000 for $10,000. Like I said, I can go through and update that. And bipolar ionization to install that in each of the units, estimating about $10,000. Any questions?
I think it's a good report. Dan, did you have anything changed other than the humidity thing that you saw?
Oh, other than we're looking at one space, spectrum space, and it's a full building. The other second floor, no fresh air coming in it at all year round. No air exchange in there. Other than the summertime when they use it. And in wintertime, it's steam heat, no air exchange. We have old units on the roof that really need to be replaced. Two of the units have back compressors in right now that we're trying to get prices to replace the compressor or replace the whole unit. Got in two prices and still we need to get it through. So there's work that needs to be done to this.
Because
We're looking at this.
Well, yeah, and I think I put the dates of manufacture of the units that we could serve Spectrum Airmid. Two of the three units are more recent. You know, one was 2008, the other one was 2014. But there's a train unit up there that, you know, the model number is not legible anymore. You know, it's 30-ish years old would be, I mean, best guess. So typical rooftop unit is average is about 20. So it's lived its life, but.
So the work that you've identified here, really, regardless of the rest of the building, would only serve this space anyway, correct?
So there's two of the units that serve a little bit of the area outside of Spectral Airmid, one older train unit, and then the Lennox unit as well, both out and serve some of that open area just outside of Spectral Airmid. But for the most part, you know, yes, a majority of their work is just within that space.
So what I'd like, I mean, to recommend to the board is that we have CMT proceed with the options that they've identified here. Is I think we owe it to our tenants to make sure that they have the best air possible, and then expand their scope of work to look at the rest of the building, especially just the second floor, to see if we can do anything up there, maybe the North Star, well, even completing on the first floor, the other spaces, but especially look at the second floor and see if there's anything we can do there. And just let us know how that scope of work would work out, and, you know, to amend your contract or whatever for that. So that'd be my recommendation, is to have them move forward with these, the estimated options 1 through 5.
Sean, so for the additional work, that's the scope that we can change.
Yeah, they can amend the scope of the current agreement that we have right now. I forget what you were charging for this study here, it was around 3 or something like that.
Yeah, I have to go back and look, but I can pull it up.
We can do an amendment to the scope. Yep, we can bring it back to the board at the next meeting, but my recommendation is to proceed with these options as he's presented.
Can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to proceed with the findings of the pathogen mitigation system and the air conditioning fixing in that building.
I second.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Tammy. We have a motion and a second to proceed with the Spectrum Airmid space revamp and remediation for for the health of those employees and consideration for additional work within the building for those additional tenants in the other floors. Roll call.
Lind,
I,
Capitan,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Tammy,
Aye.
Hingham.
Aye. Next, discuss the airfield maintenance specialist 2 position.
So we got a couple of things that are occurring. One, we did confirm we have a retirement, 25-year airfield maintenance specialist, Darren Byram, retired. He was done last week. He affirmed that yesterday that he is going to stay retired. He's been here for, like I say, 25 years, and we're certainly going to miss his service. So that creates an opening. But one of the things that the staff worked with back last year when the airport position evaluation committee was put together was the creation of a airfield maintenance 2 position, kind of like an equipment operator 2. And when we've gone out into the market to solicit folks to work in our airfield, we struggle to find employees that have a commercial license. We have a couple of units that require an air brake endorsement for commercial operation based on the weight of the vehicle. And it's not always that all the staff on the airfield ops are going to operate those pieces of equipment, but we do have positions where someone without a commercial license can be very valuable, operating brooms, blowers, sweepers, front-end loaders, things of that nature that don't require that commercial license. They can eventually be promoted and work up into that. So we had created that. The PEC approved that position. They approved the pay range for that position as part of their work. And we have an opportunity now to continue the employment of a temporary firefighter that we'd hired. Ben Zur was brought on when Arthur Putin was dispatched for military leave. Arthur's back. I think he's back as a firefighter tomorrow for us after his extended military leave. And what Chief Bush would like to do is to keep the temporary employee on through the end of the month until Arthur gets rolled back up to speed with the ARF. What we've talked about as a staff is one of 2 things. Ben would be an excellent candidate for the next time that we have an opening in the fire department. He would, I think, compete very well for a position. We believe that we're going to have 1 or 2 openings coming up here within the year in the fire department, and the opportunity for us to sustain or to continue Ben's employment would be in the airfield, to transfer him from the fire department to the airfield under one of 2 options. One, we could have him as a temporary seasonal full-time equipment operator and go through the pay rates that are here for the equipment operator 2, or we could bring him on full-time as an equipment operator 2 or airfield maintenance operator 2, and which the budget can absorb. And then at such time when there's an opening in the fire department, he may compete for one of those positions, and would be, I think, a good thing for us. He's a great employee. I think Jordan has worked with him out on the airfield, and the equipment, he's picked that up fairly well. I don't know, Darren, do you have anything to add? Yeah, so it'd be an internal transfer of an employee from the fire department over to the airfield ops, whether it be temporary or it becomes full-time.
Mr. Chairman? Yes. Sean, is there ability to just keep him on in an overage position at the fire department as like a holding position, as you know that there's going to be additional vacancies later this year?
We'd always have that option if there were an extended illness or an injury to put him back over into the fire department, just be internal transfers of what account they get paid out of, basically. So all of our firefighters and all of the expenses, by and large, with few exceptions, are paid for by the airline. So there's no cost to us, with some exceptions for capital improvements. So we can internally, as a staff, moving from the airfield and those pay codes and then back to the fire department if there's an immediate need. We pull them over there tomorrow, and then all of a sudden there's an illness or someone's out on extended leave, we could put him back there because he's qualified, he has all the credentials, he has all the background. I don't know, Chief Bush, if you have anything to add, let us know, but is that your idea as well? Chief Bush?
Chief, are you there?
It's off mute. We can't hear you, Chief. Okay. I think that matches with what we've talked about as a staff, so, it's our desire to just continue his employment, and we'll discuss whether that would be on a temporary seasonal basis or if it's temporary seasonal full-time, because we have folks that just come and work for us in the winter, we have some that just come and work for us for the summer, and, or we just, move forward with the full-time employment for him.
Are you asking for a motion, or is this just an internal operational function?
It's an internal operational function, but I think the board's endorsement of the idea would be in order. It doesn't guarantee him that he'd be our next firefighter, but it puts him in a pool where he could compete and do very well.
Chairman, I would like to make a motion to empower the executive staff to proceed as they fit in the situation.
Can I get a second? Allowing and authorizing. And this is to authorize and allow Sean and staff to move accordingly to maintain our staff between the.
We got a big hole right now with a full-time operator going, and by the time we advertise and get someone in speed, winter might be over, but yet we got a lot of grass that'll be growing hopefully in the summer, and then we'll fit right in and help with that process immediately.
Any conversation about the motion and second? None? We'll call.
Lind?
Aye.
Capitan?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
Engen?
Aye. Number 9, airport construction and security update.
The only thing with construction that we have, Terry, and I know that you're still on, is a couple of just minor things over in the maintenance shop. We have in the new shop, in the kitchen area, the stove keeps kicking out. Dan, who's an electrician, understands that it's actually, I think, a building code error. They required Rickard Electric to put in a GFI outlet, but GFI outlets don't work with stoves that have an element. They'll automatically kick them out. It's a known fact. So Rickard was working with the city building inspector, electrical inspector, to have them change what type of outlet that is. And I don't know if they have to increase the amperage or not, or just got to change the breakers. So it was put in per what code required, but it doesn't work with the type of oven that we have. And I guess this is something that has gone on around there. Roger Olson from Meineke Johnson, and Terry, chime in if you will, was over in the shop and observed the pooling of water that runs into the women's restroom. So equipment comes in, snow melts off of it, and the water runs to the women's restroom. He was over there to observe that. He came back out, I believe, and did some water tests to see if he can come up with a solution. And Terry, have they shared with you what that solution might be?
Yes, Roger and I visited yesterday, and he said there could be a number of things that we could try, possible putting some material down to create a bit of a ridge. Some of it was, you know, he said actually he put some duct tape down, and in areas the duct tape actually stopped the water, and then in a couple other areas about 5 feet it didn't. So it's super close. The other thing, I'm not sure I understand, right now you guys are installing an epoxy floor in the break room.
Yeah.
Another possibility would be to extend that epoxy floor out to that area, and then those guys could easily fill that in, put the epoxy there, and it would just look like it was supposed to be there. So it's a super small spot. It's like Roger said, he was testing it and doing water really slow to mimic snow melt, and that's what's happening. He said it stays, and then once it goes, it kind of just goes. And so there's a couple of options. He suggested, regardless of what we do, that we would try to do something temporary and test it before we engage in doing anything. So that's kind of our plan, is to coordinate with you guys to come up there and, you know, do some possible testing, because it's so small that some of it will be pretty easy to fix, and then some of it will be a little harder. But So anyway, he just noticed that you guys are evidently doing an epoxy floor in there. That possibly could be easy to bring that out and into that work area that's supposed to be flat and possibly stop it that way as well.
So if they want to work with that contractor, Terry, we can get you the contact information. We took bids from 3 different ones. So if he wants to work with that contractor that's there now, I guess just have them engage him and they can put it on their dime.
Sure. I was kind of thinking that would be the case. So I just wanted to, yeah. So
yeah, the
other
final thing is then the siding.
Right. They're actually going to be here this week. So thank goodness we have some decent weather. I told Roger to chain him to the building until they got it done, and he didn't know if that would be possible. So anyway, we're hoping that they have the right stuff to make it happen this time. And so yeah, so they're going to be here sometime this week, and Roger said he'd let me know when they get there.
Okay. I don't have anything on security, Darren, or any other projects.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Terry. With the snow melt water running into the restroom, are you considering cutting in a new floor drain to mitigate that so we don't have standing water on the floor?
No, we aren't. That's kind of a drastic move. It seems like we'd be able to fix it in another method. Cutting a new drain in there would typically be kind of not only overkill, but then it creates all sorts of other issues with patching concrete and stuff like that. So I think we have a couple of options here that would solve that problem, because it's such a small area and the height isn't very large. So I would suggest we wouldn't do that. I don't think there'd be any reason to do that. And
Okay.
it'd be a pretty drastic move to do that. So.
Okay, I've just got just a few miscellaneous things, Mr. Chairman, before we go into executive session. Frontier is suspending our Denver service. I believe it's March 4th. It was slated to come back on April 4th. Now it appears that it's been extended out to April 27th. And then once they return, I believe there's like 5 flights per week in the system for Denver. Throughout the time that our Orlando service is suspended, of course, they announced yesterday, day before, that they're merging with Spirit. I think by and large, it appears that they're trying to get pilots. So the reason for our suspension, I had Mike Lum from Volair run. He found the suspension of 120 additional flights with multiple markets, as they are struggling with lack of crews. So they're not getting full use of their aircraft because of lack of crews. So I spoke with Dan Schurz from Frontier, the head of their network planning, did some exchanges with Josh Fleur, who does the network planning. And it's not that they don't like our market, it's just that they have some hard decisions to make. And we'll see if their merger with Spirit here over time improves their ability to operate aircraft. But the pilot shortage it's bad, as I think probably Eric Lynn knows. It's terrible.
It's the 4th largest airline in the country.
Yeah, it's there, and there's other mergers being discussed. And I know Commissioner Strand is on, so I had an update yesterday from Kent Costin that the Finance Committee did review the Eide Bailly audit that was done, the agreed upon procedures. One key member was missing, and that person was supposed to have a meeting with Eide Bailly yesterday to go up to speed. I was told there were no concerns in all of the data that they had gone through. So Commissioner Strand, I guess if you hear anything different, let us know, but I expect that'll be brought back to the full commission at your next commission meeting.
And thank you. And I'm not here with any concerns either. I'm just feeling such a big relief, though, as we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's, and we're into a new year, new chair, we have a whole new relationship. I'm at your service. Keep me posted.
All right, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Final thing, Flash Parking had staff back last week or the week before, just after our board meeting, to install the final 3rd lane out in the parking lot. So when you exit, you see all 3 lanes are now open. They did some other, I guess, assistance with Jay out in the parking lot on the software. We still got a couple of situations, I think, on the east side. and Jay has tried to work with them so that when you pull up and push the button to get your sticker to come in, we want it to extend out a little bit more. Some people are having trouble grabbing that sticker to come out. We just wanted to spit it out a little bit further. That's been a request for a month now, and supposedly Flash is working on that. One of the big things that they're working on, and SB Plus is desperate to get this working, as you're aware, we approved dynamic pricing with Manchester Airport Group here some time ago. That went into play, I believe, in October of last year. This is where you can go online and do it. It's doing extremely well. I'm surprised at the amount of money that they've sent us each month with people that are doing online reservations. So we believe that it is doing what they said. It would drive more people to park at the airport, and supposedly that's what's happening. But they haven't integrated the dynamic pricing software with Flash. So Mag and Flash are working together to get that automated. Right now, that's on a separate system. We've only made one payment to Flash so far, and I've asked them to send us invoices, but they're not going to send anything until it's all done. I don't know when that's going to be. We owe them a significant amount of money yet, but they haven't sent the invoices. They were sending them to SB Plus to get paid. They got that corrected. They're supposed to come to us, but nothing has shown up in the last couple of weeks. So look for some pay requests coming for Flash. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We're going to go into executive session. I think I need a motion and a second to move to executive session.
So I think that you read the notification, and then I'll need a motion and a second to adjourn the regular meeting and then to go into executive session.
Two separate motions.
The Municipal Airport Authority will meet in executive session to engage in discussions related to the status of pending or reasonably predicted litigational matters and the status of the same, to provide any necessary instructions to their legal counsel. These discussions have potential financial implications and involve attorney-client privilege communication, and an open meeting discussion of these matters could create an adverse financial implications to the Municipal Airport Authority. This executive session is authorized pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 44-04-19.1. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and go into executive session.
Can I get a second, please?
I second.
Do we need roll call or?
Sure. Lind.
Aye.
Capitan.
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Okay, if anyone needs parking passes, just see Darren or Jordan here. We'll get your parking ballot.
To come back in.
Yep.
Yeah,
call
we'll
the-
Reconvene the Tuesday, February, was the 7th, 8th meeting of the Municipal Airport Authority. Any questions, comments? None? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, meeting adjourned.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.